Sort of to me, it reminds me of, it's a bit of a mix between the Brooks Hyperion Max 2 and maybe the Saucony Endorphin Speed. So if that's a bit of an indication of where we are with this shoe. So just a couple runs done and dusted in this shoe. Now this is the Xtep 260X 2.0 and these are my first impressions. But before we get into it, and if you guys want to support the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And with the specs, so this one is a neutral road running shoe, probably in that lightweight, up-tempo training category of a shoe, or maybe even a super trainer because it's got a plate in it. Now in Australia, the recommended retail price of the Xtep website, about $260 or $160 in the US as well. Now, big discounts on this shoe already, so I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can get a big discount on this shoe, but I think it's around like maybe $160 or Australian or even like $100 in the US, but pretty amazing for what you get. Now, pretty lightweight package, 220 grams, 7.8 ounces. My size, that's US 8.5. Now in the stack, 35 in the rear, 27 in the front, and that's going to give us a 8mm drop. And in the upper, so the material that they're using here is a jacquard mesh. Now the actual design of the upper is quite simplified, looks really clean, not too many extra bits stitched onto it. I quite like it. Breathability is pretty good as well. Pretty solid heel counter at the back here. About a medium amount of padding around the heel collar, but it's finished off quite nicely. The padding and the material that they use here is quite premium. Feels like memory foam. Really thin tongue, no padding on the tongue. The tongue is not gusseted. It's got a bit of a wing fit cut at the top, so it sits nicely on top of the foot. Standard lacing system here with our eyelets. The lockdown in the shoe, pretty good as well, so it didn't budge on me. In the fit, now I'm going to say I ordered a 8.5 US. The box, or the shoe that actually arrived in the mail, was a half size short. But when I put the shoe on my foot, it was exactly as I would have ordered. So I would say that it's true to size for what you order, but I think there might be a sizing issue with the labeling of the shoe, and I think the company knows when you actually order the shoe, they send you the right size. So I'm not too sure what's going on with the mismatch with the label and the actual size, but what I ordered, US 8.5, that's pretty standard what I got here. So in the width though, it's probably a performance fit, so it's a little bit on the narrow side, but it's not overly squishy through the toe box, and there's a good amount of volume as well. Stepping comfort, not too bad, and I'm going to say the build quality here is very, very nice. And in the outsole, so we have got full coverage on the bottom of the shoe here. So they call this one a CPU outsole. So the actual compound itself, it's probably not the softest rubber on the market in terms of outsoles, but it's also not the hardest as well. Certainly not slappy on the ride at all. But as you can see there, full coverage, and you know that I probably prefer outsoles to be a little less covered. So I like it to be segmented, just to let the midsole breathe a little bit, let the midsole splay. So this is not doing that here. Do I think it's taking anything away from the ride? Probably just a little bit. But overall, in the grip department, I've had no issues with it, but only tested it in dry conditions so far. And this rubber compound itself seems like it's going to be pretty durable as well. And in the midsole, so the foam they're using here is called Xtep Ace. Now this Xtep Ace foam, I believe, is a supercritical foam. Now to the look and to the touch, it sort of reminds me of Power Run PB. So quite resilient, quite firm, quite responsive looking foam. Now within this foam, they've got a full length carbon plate. The carbon plate's got ripples on it, sort of like what's in the New Balance SC Elite V4. But it's also got some segments missing as well, this carbon plate. Add a little bit of flexibility to it. But in the rigidity department, it's still quite a stiff shoe, especially for a training shoe. So yeah, quite stiff there. Now geometry, we've got a nice little 4-foot rocker here. So it's quite a early stage rocker, and it's not a gentle rocker, but it's not a super aggressive rocker. It's somewhere just in the middle, but I quite like it. Certainly no slappiness in the ride of this shoe. And in the ride, so the first word that is coming to mind here is efficient. So yeah, super efficient. It's a really clean ride, so there's not a lot of energy lost in this shoe. It's probably on the firmer side, even though there is a little bit of bounce and a little bit of sink through the rear. But it's not overly squishy, not overly bouncy. Certainly not a soft shoe whatsoever. Yeah, certainly on the firmer side. It's a snappy shoe. You feel really agile and nimble in the shoe, but overall, yeah, just easy to tick the legs over. This geometry is, oh, it's spot on. And as I said, you don't lose any energy with this foam. But saying that it's a firm and a responsive ride, it's definitely not harsh. It's quite smooth. As I said, it's clean and a very efficient ride. Pretty stable as well, because it's got a little bit of a lower stack, even though it's got quite of a thin base on the bottom. So what I'm liking in this shoe so far is certainly the geometry and the efficiency of the ride. Just really, really clean. Also really like the price as well. And what I'm still figuring out in this shoe is its need for a full-length carbon plate. So I probably think that the shoe could do without the plate, or maybe like a plate that's not so harsh or not so stiff, maybe a nylon plate, just to give it a little bit more flexibility. I think that would really benefit the shoe. And dislikes, well, I do think it's got too much outsole rubber on the bottom of the shoe. And just wrapping up my first impressions here with the shoe, so what I can say, it's a lot better than I expected, because once I pulled it out of the box, put it on my foot, had to walk around it, touched the foam, I was like, oh, I think it's going to be a bit harsh, a bit too firm for me, because I prefer a softer ride. But my first run, my opinions quickly changed, so it didn't take long, and I really appreciated this geometry and just how efficient and how clean the ride was. So yeah, so nimble on the foot. I think a lot of runners are going to get a lot out of this shoe. A lot of runners are going to like it, because those soft, squishy rides aren't for everyone. And if you're one of those people, then this is certainly a shoe you should look at. Predictions with the shoe, yeah, it's a great workout shoe, I think. And I would also use this one on the long run, because it does feel so efficient. I can sort of handle those slower paces as well, but obviously it's got a carbon plate in it. I'm not going to jog in this shoe every day. I'm probably going to save this one for your tempo, your threshold. And if you wanted to run your park run in it, or if you wanted to race a marathon in it, you probably could. But obviously it doesn't have the wow factor of the other super shoes on the market. Sort of, to me, it reminds me of, it's a bit of a mix between the Brooks Hyperion Max 2 and maybe the Saucony Endorphin Speed. So if that's a bit of an indication of where we are with this shoe. But anyway, enjoyed my run so far in the shoe. I'm going to enjoy taking this one out on a few more. So any questions you've got regarding this shoe, drop them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.